Hello peoples! In today's video I'm going to do an addendum to my last video titled What Locations to Start At in 3.15. In that video I was basing my location choice due mostly to the physicalized inventory system that we will have when 3.15 goes live. Trust me when I tell you that shuttling around all over the system to gain access to the gear that you want or try to move that gear to a central location is going to be a real pain. The comments for that video, however, indicated to me that there are some people that are putting a lot of emphasis on other aspects, basically the length of time that it takes to get from the surface of a chosen planet to a station in orbit above, specifically when they're killed and they need to respawn. I also got the impression that people expect to die quite often and think that this is going to be a fairly common reoccurring event. Therefore, they want to be able to have access to all their gear as well as the station as fast as possible. So let's shed some light on all of these concerns and attempt to provide a more in-depth set of answers as to a good starting location for 3.15. As always, if you like and enjoy the content, then please hit the like button, the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. If you're new to Star Citizen, you will find a referral code in the video description to get 5,000 free UEC when you open an account. Don't pass this opportunity up because you're going to need that money. Everyone's getting reset, so if you know anyone that wants to try Star Citizen, they haven't opened up an account, direct them here, tell them to use that code, and they'll get a little bit of a bump when they first try, particularly when we have that new free fly event that's coming up shortly for AIE. Now grab yourself a drink. For this one, I'm going to suggest something mild. Doesn't have to be Redbreast or anything hard. Whatever, kind of tasty beverage that you like. And pizza rolls. So sit back, relax, and let's see where we end up going. So, in the background, you're going to be seeing the 4 major locations and a timer for each that will answer the question of how long does it really take to go from the bed up to the station at each location. Now, I didn't try to do a speed run here. I just timed myself while doing some normal gameplay. I didn't dilly around. I went right from the bed, tried to get up to the station in a normal pace. So can you do this faster or slower? Well, yes. It's just to represent what normal game time would be like to kind of put a nail in the coffin of how long does it really take to get from point A to point B, depending upon your station of choice. While that's running, here are some things to keep in the back of your mind as they're pretty relevant. So 1. The location for ship components, weapons, small arms, armor, etc., they've all changed somewhat. For example, New Babbage no longer has all of the same high-quality ship components that are currently available in 3.14. Some, not all, have been moved to other locations like Cousin Crow's on Orison. Same for ship weapons. They're all spread out. They're in different locations. And basically, you can't move them as cargo. So it's going to require you to take your ship to that location in order to outfit your ship with that component or weapon. Same for small arms and armor. Only you will have the ability to use the inventory space of your ship as well as the cargo space in some cases to move inventory items from one location to another. But trust me, that's a pain in the butt. 2. Not all locations have a good selection of missions to perform. Basically, Lorville, Orison will give you the most amount of missions when dealing with bounty hunting and that kind of stuff, whereas New Babbage and Area 18 are kind of limited. Now, if you plan to do a lot of mining or do cargo missions only, then you've got a lot more flexibility. You're not as dependent upon the bounty hunting missions for income. Then someplace like New Babbage may be a pretty good area because it's good for mining. Area 18 might be good for your trading missions, so keep that in the back of your mind. 3. When you die, you will lose everything that you have on your person. Without exception. You might get lucky, you might be able to retrieve it, you might have a friend that might be able to pick it up, but don't count on it. If you die, just kiss it goodbye. So you will need to replace these items at some point, and that will require you to go to a planet or a station to do so. So I do recommend that you take the minimum amount of gear that you need in order to be able to keep the cost down. 4. Not all stations will have medical facilities that you can respawn at. However, you can change your respawn location by going to any medical facility and setting that as your bed. Fine. Access to ground vehicles in 315 are still the same as in 314. That is, if there's a Platinum Bay location on a moon, you will be able to get your ground vehicle. This is a lot more convenient given the poor access for Hurston and ArcCorp. Basically, unless you're using New Babbage, there is no good place to pull a vehicle out that is also going to allow you to have access to a lot of stuff. Okay, with that said, let's go into each location in very quick detail. If we start with Lorville, we've got a very centralized location. We've got an orbital station with a clinic. That's going to be Everest Harbor. And we have an okay selection of shops. There's limited armor types, there's very limited small arms types, there's limited ship weapons, and there's limited ship components. There's a decent amount of space missions. You can get a ground vehicle, but again, it's kind of kludgy how you can get it. You have a trading and shipping console, and you have basically New Deal for ship purchases, so you can buy new ships. So now move on to Area 18. You have an orbital station with a clinic. That's going to be by Genie Point. You have a great selection of shops with a large selection of armor types, small arms weapons, ship components, even mining components. You have the ability to buy a ship at Astra Armada, and you have a trade and development division. Downside is not a lot of missions to run, specifically bounty hunting missions. Now let's move on to New Babbage. Again, orbital station with a clinic. That's going to be Port Tressler. You have an okay selection of shops now. You've got a medium selection of armor types, small arms weapons, ship components. You do have a pretty good selection of mining components though. You have a garage with probably the greatest access that you can have for ground vehicles at a location. However, you are incredibly far away from everything else, and there's not a whole lot of space missions to do there. Now, last but not least, we have Orison. So you have Port Olisar, which has the convenience of not having to take an elevator ride to get to your ship, fastest ship access you can have. You're in close vicinity to Grimhex, and yes, I actually do count that as a plus. You have a good selection of shops. You have a decent amount of space missions. Unfortunately, you can't call ground vehicles at Port Orison itself, but you do have access to moons where you can. Unfortunately, you have the longest ascent into orbit, as you just saw, and we'll go over these in a minute. You also have lots of PvP action that does happen around Port Olisar. However, that may be changing in the future because of the death mechanics that will be in place. Okay, so let's take a look at our test results. Lorville came in first with the shortest amount of time from bed to station at 10 minutes 31 seconds, followed by New Babbage with 11 minutes 4 seconds. Area 18 came in 11 minutes 10 seconds, and Orison, as expected, came in with the longest at 12 minutes 46 seconds. However, that's not a big difference. We're talking just a couple of minutes from best to worst. So keep that in the back of your mind. Look at the access that you have to equipment, materials, missions, and all that good stuff before you make your decision to set down routes anywhere in the system. Now, with the new death mechanic that's going to be introduced here, and the fact that you're going to be penalized for making poor choices and dying, I don't think we're going to see a lot of people running out there, at least not initially, trying to solo ERT missions against a hammerhead, because the result is going to be disastrous. You're going to end up losing more than you win, and now with this death mechanic and the fact that you can lose your equipment, I think people are going to be a lot more cautious than they're letting on. I may be wrong, but we'll see. I myself would rather do a few VHRT missions, take a little bit longer, but have a little bit better chance of coming through without losing my stuff than trying to throw everything onto one ERT mission. Now, of course, if I have the right tool for the job, that changes. Think Eclipse Bomber for those ERT solo hammerhead missions. But in any event, whether you agree with me or not, go ahead, make a comment in the comment section below, and let me know what you think. Have I hit most of the items on here for where you are going to consider to set down roots, or am I still missing something? As always, I look forward to it. Till then, take care.